Hey, it's AJ here from pornfreepower.com. So this is actually the very first video in the Porn Free Power YouTube channel. So I actually started Porn Free Power way back in 2014. Ever since then, I've been helping people to quit porn successfully. But in all that time, after all those years, it only occurred to me recently that I should actually start a YouTube channel. So I'm going to have a crack at it here, and this is my very first video. And I'm really excited that you've joined me, and there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to share with you in the YouTube channel. So I really hope that you'll stick around. Now, as I'm recording this, it's also just a new year that's just clicked over. And so I realized that a lot of people at this time set a New Year's resolution to quit porn. And with that in mind, I wanted to make that the topic of this very first video. So if you have actually set a New Year's resolution, some of the stuff that I'm going to share with you in this video might help you to make it more effective in helping you to quit porn. If you have already set a New Year's resolution and then broken that resolution to quit porn, then I'm going to share with you some stuff in this video that might help to reassure you and help you to get back on track and show you what to do. And even if you haven't set a New Year's resolution and it isn't New Year's when you're watching this, because I know being a brand new channel, probably not that many people are going to be watching it to begin with. So if you're watching this at some other time, or if you haven't set a New Year's resolution, there's still going to be some stuff in this video that I hope you'll find useful, which relates to things like the process of quitting porn successfully, and also some mindsets that are also helpful in making that happen. So no matter what, I really want this video to be helpful for you, and we're going to go through it with that in mind. So first of all, what I want to talk about is the concept of New Year's resolutions. And personally, I'm not such a big fan of the New Year's part. And the reason for that is that I believe if you want to make a change, you shouldn't necessarily just wait until New Year's. You should actually just get about it straight away. But I am a big fan of the idea of the resolution part. Because to me, a resolution actually means a commitment. You actually decide that you want to make a change, and then you're making a resolution or a really strong commitment to take action, to follow through, and to make it happen, and to persevere until you succeed. And so I do really like the resolution part. And if it just so happens that New Year or around that time is the time that you decide that you really want to step up and quit porn for good, then it certainly doesn't hurt to make a New Year's resolution. Now, with that in mind, let me share with you one of the problems that I see when people that I talk with or work with tell me about the New Year's resolution that they've made. And I'm also going to share with you the way that I think you can make your New Year's resolution or any resolution better, and so it actually sets you up for success rather than just falling apart in the short term. So basically, what I typically see when people make a New Year's resolution or any kind of resolution is that they'll say, from the 1st of January, I'm never ever going to touch porn ever again for the rest of my life. And even though I really like the energy and the spirit behind that, it kind of can fall apart quite quickly, because if you have even one relapse, then it feels like the whole resolution is for nothing, and it kind of comes undone from there. And the problem is that if you are actually struggling to quit porn and then you make a resolution like that, but you haven't really taken a lot of action or made a lot of progress to becoming porn free, there is a good chance, even though I hate to say this, that you may actually relapse as part of the journey to becoming porn free. Now, this is not something that I'm saying to depress you or anything like this. I just want everyone to be aware of the reality. If you're actually going to quit porn for good, then typically the way that it unfolds is you start off on your journey, and there are a whole bunch of different actions and strategies and whatnot that you need to put in place to actually succeed over the long term. I'm not talking about just using willpower to stay porn free for a month or two or something like that. I'm talking about situations where you want to stay porn free for good. There are a whole bunch of different actions and strategies that you need to put in place to make that happen. Now, in the first instance, you can't do everything all at once because there are a few different things to do. So it becomes a bit of a journey and a process. Now, as you're actually going through this journey, you're steadily taking action, you're putting things in place, but because you can't do everything you need all at once, there is a chance, especially in the early stages, that you might actually relapse. And if that happens and you've made a New Year's resolution saying, I'll never touch porn ever again, it can be quite disheartening, and it can feel like that New Year's resolution was all for nothing, as I said. So this is one of the problems that can happen. Now, in just talking about the relapse reality, the way that it generally plays out, if you're actually, following the kinds of things that I recommend and following a solid process with some really good strategies and actions, is that early on there is a chance that you can relapse, but as you keep taking more action and making more progress, the idea is that any relapses that you have become less intense and less significant, and also they become further and further apart. So they're much more rare until eventually you're on top of all the different things that you need to keep on top of, and relapses disappear altogether, and you maintain that steady state of being porn free, which you can sustain over the long term. So that's generally the process, which means that over the long term you can stay porn free, but over the short term it's more difficult to do that without a relapse or two along the way. And the whole time of ever working with people since I started Porn Free Power, there's still only been one person that I've ever worked with who was able to just say that's it, and they went cold turkey and never had a single relapse. Anyone else that I've worked with or spoken with have had at least 1 or 2 relapses in the early stages, and like I said, that's the reality. Now, I don't want to tell you this to give you an excuse for relapsing or a justification for relapsing, or to just make it easy for you to give in if you feel an urge and say, oh, well, relapse is a part of the process, it's all inevitable anyway, I may as well just relapse. You still want to do everything you absolutely can to avoid each relapse, because every relapse is a backward step and it's a step in the wrong direction. But despite doing all of that, if you still happen to relapse, that is just the reality of what can happen, and the important thing is that you keep on going. So with that in mind, instead of a New Year's resolution like, from the 1st of January, I'm never going to touch porn ever again for the rest of my life, what I suggest as a resolution or a New Year's resolution is to say, I am going to quit porn for good, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And there's a subtle difference, and what we're saying here is we're not resolving immediately, at least, that we're never going to watch porn again or look at porn or use porn in any way ever again. You can make a resolution like that maybe a little bit later once you're more on top of things, but in the early stages, what I suggest you resolve to do and commit to do is do whatever it takes to succeed. And what that means then is if you start about the process of quitting porn and you happen to have a relapse or two along the way, anytime those relapses happen, the resolution doesn't fall apart. You haven't undone your resolution, because your resolution was to do whatever it takes to quit porn for good. So that just means, in this instance, getting back, dusting yourself off, and then getting back about creating the changes and taking the actions that you need to take to make that happen. And so you can stay true to a resolution like that, even if you happen to slip up and relapse somewhere along the way. So that's what I suggest. It's a slight distinction, but it really helps to keep you basically strong and determined instead of getting discouraged if you happen to hit some setbacks along the way. So that's definitely what I suggest. And with that in mind, what I want to encourage you to do is, regardless of when you're watching this, if it happens to be New Year's because you're watching this straight away, then definitely, if you haven't already, make a resolution to quit porn. If you've already happened to have broken that resolution because you resolve you were never going to touch porn again and you've already relapsed since New Year's Eve, well, you can just change your resolution. So instead of saying you'll never touch porn again, it says I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure I never touch porn again. And if it's some other time in the year, let's say it's July or something like that, nowhere near New Year's time, don't wait for something special to happen. Make your resolution straight away and start taking the actions that are needed, because the New Year's part really doesn't matter. It's the resolution to do whatever it takes to quit porn and the commitment that's behind that that's really what's important. And this is part of creating a really solid foundation so that you have like the drive and the motivation and the dedication. That means that every other action that you take and all the strategies that you put in place are much more powerful because it's backed by a really solid commitment. And if you happen to slip up, you basically come back to that resolution and you say, well, I'm still going to do whatever it takes to quit, and you get back on the wagon and just keep on taking action and making progress. So that's what I've got to share with you about New Year's resolutions for today. Because this is a brand new channel, I'd really appreciate your support. So, if you can subscribe, if you can add a like on this video, maybe share it with some people that would get some value out of it. And of course, if you have any feedback, any questions, any comments, I love to hear that stuff. I want to know what you think. Even if you think this video sucks, let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to get that feedback. And either way, what I'd love you to do is come back and keep watching more of these videos, because if you want to quit porn, I've got some really awesome stuff to share with you. So thank you very much for watching this video for now, and I'll catch you again real soon. Bye for now.